Government policies on forest conservation and rural housing in China reflect the country's broader goal of balancing environmental protection with social and economic development. Over the past few decades, China has faced serious ecological challenges, including deforestation, soil erosion, desertification, and rural poverty. In response, the government has implemented comprehensive policies aimed at restoring forest ecosystems while also improving living conditions in rural communities. One of the most important forest conservation policies was introduced after the severe flooding along the Yangtze River in 1998. These floods highlighted the environmental consequences of excessive logging in upstream regions. As a result, the government launched the Natural Forest Protection Program (NFPP). This policy imposed strict logging bans in key natural forest areas, particularly in northeastern and southwestern China. State-owned forest enterprises were required to reduce or completely stop commercial logging, shifting their focus toward forest protection and ecological restoration. Another major initiative is the Grain for Green program, also known as the Sloping Land Conversion Program. This policy encourages farmers to convert steep or degraded farmland into forest or grassland. In exchange, they receive financial subsidies, grain, or other forms of compensation. This program has significantly increased China's forest coverage and reduced soil erosion, especially in fragile ecological regions. It also provides rural households with alternative income sources, helping to alleviate poverty. China's forest law, revised in 2020, further strengthens forest governance. The law emphasizes ecological conservation as a priority, enhances supervision of forest resources, and imposes stricter penalties for illegal logging. It also promotes sustainable forest management plans and clarifies responsibilities among government agencies and forest managers. In addition, China has expanded protected areas, including national parks and nature reserves, to safeguard biodiversity and maintain ecosystem services. At the same time, government policies on rural housing have aimed to improve living standards while supporting environmental goals. In many rural areas, older houses were poorly constructed and vulnerable to natural disasters such as earthquakes and floods. To address this, the government introduced rural housing renovation and reconstruction programs. These initiatives provide financial subsidies and technical guidance to help rural residents build safer, more durable homes. In recent years, rural housing policies have also incorporated ecological considerations. For example, local governments encourage the use of energy-efficient building materials and promote the installation of solar panels and clean heating systems. In some regions, authorities regulate construction to prevent the expansion of housing into protected forest areas. This helps ensure that rural development does not undermine forest conservation efforts. The Rural Revitalization Strategy, launched after the elimination of extreme poverty, integrates forest conservation with rural development. It promotes ecotourism, forest-based industries, and sustainable agriculture as new sources of income for rural communities. By linking environmental protection with economic opportunity, the government aims to create long-term incentives for local residents to protect forest resources. However, challenges remain. Balancing the demand for rural housing expansion with strict land use controls can create tensions at the local level. In some cases, enforcement of conservation regulations may limit construction opportunities for villagers. Therefore, effective coordination between environmental protection and rural development policies is essential. In conclusion, government policies on forest conservation and rural housing in China demonstrate an integrated approach to sustainable development. Through programs such as the Natural Forest Protection Program, the Grain for Green program, and rural housing renovation initiatives, China seeks to protect its forest ecosystems while improving living standards in rural areas. Although challenges persist, these policies reflect the country's commitment to building an environmentally sustainable and socially inclusive future.